Hey guys, and welcome to today's video. So today is my self-tanner showdown video. I have been preparing for this video for like what feels like an eternity. I think it's been 2 to 3 months, probably about 2.5. I've been trying out 5 self-tanners, and today I'm gonna be like telling you the pros, cons, how they're best applied, and then their ranking, and then I'll also have some just like random application tips at the end of the video. Tried out 5 different ones, 4 of which are very popular and one of which just came out earlier this year. We're gonna talk about them in the order that I tried them, and then at the end of like describing them to you and everything like that, I'll tell you my ranking of each one, which you'll probably pick up on as I'm like talking about them based on my pros and cons and whatnot. I have done a similar type of like showdown video. It was a foundation video, and it was actually a wrap-up video for my foundation 5 series I did a couple months back, but this is very similar to that in like what I'm discussing. Like in that video I also discussed like the pros, cons, application method, and then the ranking. Obviously this is a little bit different because we're talking about self-tanners which go on the body. I'm pretty excited. I've wanted to try this because my goal this year is to not get, or to get very minimal actual tan from the sun, because I'm trying to anti-age. I'm trying to stay young forever. I know it's an unattainable goal, but I'm at least trying to take care of myself so I can prevent skin cancer. So I slather on sunscreen like crazy, but you know, sometimes, you know, I don't want to show my pale legs and my pale arms, so I want to bronze it up, and I find the best way to do that is with self-tanners. I wanted to do this so I could help you guys, you know, try to protect your skin while also looking bronzed and glowy, because that's the goal, is to look bronzed and glowy but not get burned, not get skin cancer, and to anti-age. I know that we're all looking for that. Excuse my voice, I might have to stop and cough every once in a while, which I'll probably edit out because I'm losing my voice or something. I have a sinus cold, or I don't know. I hope it's not laryngitis. I hope not. But we're just gonna power through. I've been really excited to do this video. I was only gonna try 4 out for this video, by the way, but I decided there was an extra one I wanted to try that I saw go crazy on TikTok, and we'll discuss that as that one comes. But 5 is a nice number, so I like doing that, but that's why this video is coming about a week and a half later than I wanted it to. So in case you're waiting this video, here it is, and it's because I had to try an extra one, and each of these take about a week just for one application, and I tried them multiple different ways, like hands, a tanning mitt, and all that good stuff, which I'll be, you know, talking about. So I'm gonna shut up now on the intro and get to the actual video. Let's do this. So the first self-tanner I tried is this brand new Isle of Paradise self-tanning butter. This you exclusively get on Sephora.com or maybe in some Sephora stores. I had to order this online, so it's not super easily accessible, which we'll talk about like with some other products that are. It's supposed to be a golden glow. It does claim that. It's got a color correcting actives to kind of even the skin tone. It's supposed to be like a glowing lotion. It's not really like a tanning foam like the rest of these are tanning foams specifically. So the first time I tried this out, I did actually try it with my fingertips, and that did not work. It was streaky and it dried down fine, but it just looked weird in between my fingers and everything, and it was like weird on my wrists no matter how hard I tried to buff it in. By the way, this is $25 and it has 6.76 ounces, so not a horribly high price tag, but it does have less product than some of these other products we're going to be talking about. But I do find it to be a little bit too orange. I have a neutral undertone, and I talk about this with my foundation shades, and a lot of times self-tanners do pull a little bit orange, and this one does, so I can get away with it, but it doesn't look quite as natural as I would necessarily like. I will have to say one major con with this was that I washed it off like as per usual. I left it on for 6 hours, which you're supposed to do. It just says from 4 to 6 hours. I waited 6 hours because I wanted to do the maximum to see what that would look like for this video. And I showered it off, and then I went to bed about an hour or 2 later, and the next morning I woke up and it was all splotchy. I guess it hadn't been done setting yet, which I thought was weird because I washed it like I normally wash. I'm very thorough. I didn't just like get into the water and just like rinse it off. Like I washed it off, and it, you know, it kind of came off in some orangey color down the drain, which is pretty typical of like some self-tanners. But I slept and I couldn't wear shorts for like a week because this just was so splotchy the next morning. And I guess it was because my legs were rubbing on the sheets, which is weird. And also I found that when I went to apply moisturizer the next day after trying this out, it moved the color around then too. So I just don't know if this is truly meant as a self tanner. Maybe use it as a lotion. I don't know. I wasn't the biggest fan of this. It's okay, and if I were in a pinch and I wanted just a little color, I probably would put it on my arms or something, but I definitely would not reach for it. And also, it doesn't really bother me, but I know a lot of people don't like the smell, and it does smell like cucumber, like straight up cucumber. So if you don't like the smell of cucumber, I would bypass this. I don't really care. I actually like the smell of cucumber, but I did think it was weird that they chose that smell for a self tanner. So some pros are that it does easily spread, which is nice. It can be applied on the go, so like if you wanted to put it on real quick and then leave the house, it's not going to get all over your clothes because it goes on like a white color. Let me show you. It's like white, and then it develops into like the tone that it will be for your skin. And so it doesn't get all over your clothes, which is really nice. It's not overly expensive like the Loving Tan one that I actually never tried, but a lot of people love, is $45. And then like the Saint Tropez like line is around $45 as well, so it is a little bit cheaper, but it's just not great. You have to use a tanning mitt, and I just think that like it doesn't set for a while. So if you wanted to use this, maybe try it like in the morning and shower in the middle of the day, and then let it sit before you like go to bed, and don't apply any moisturizer for like a day afterwards. Because both times that I tried this, I tried each of these products twice, and both times I tried this, once was with my hands, once with a tanning mitt, but I still had the same problem with it staying in place. I guess because it's more of a lotion, perhaps. The best way to apply this is with a tanning mitt, like I said, but it's just not that super great all the way around, but we'll get to that. The next one I tried is a very popular one, and it is the Bondi Sands, the Australian Tan Ultra Dark Tanning Foam. I typically don't get ultra dark because I get afraid that it's going to get too dark, but I kept this one on for the 6 hours, which is the max that it says you need to leave it on, and it looked great. Actually, Thomas, who doesn't like self tanner, liked this one. He told me that it looked good. I don't have too many cons. Really, the only one I have is that it's a bit harder to spread. I just think that you kind of need to view this as like waxing a car. And so like I really go into it, like I rub it in, like I'm not like, oh, like gingerly, like no, like I go in there like hardcore. So I kind of compare it to waxing a car after you get it cleaned. I keep forgetting to tell you the price, sorry. This is $23 for 7.04 ounces. So already there's more ounces in here than there was in the Isle of Paradise self-tanning butter that we just talked about. Some pros are that it smells quite pleasant, like coconut, but it's not super invasive, like it's not overpowering, and it does dissipate after your first shower when you are rinsing it off, so that is good. It is a very natural looking color. It is not orange at all, which I really appreciate, because if I'm going to self-tan, I'd rather pull neutral, obviously, because I have a neutral undertone. And this pulls more neutral than an orangier self-tanner does. You know what I'm saying? Also, it develops quite nicely over 6 hours. You can see it developing. So if you look down and you're like, I don't want to be too tan, you can go to the shower and rinse it off right away, wash it off, and it's good. So I like that you can see how it's developing. Some of them, like, it's like 1 minute you're pale and like the next minute you're not, and you're like, oh gosh, I'm so dark. And this one is really nice. I did wait the full 6 hours, and I thought it looked really, really pretty. It lasts a very long time. And with self-tanners, they say that if you moisturize and exfoliate and shave, you really take care of your tan, you can make it last forever. I purposefully, on the first try of this, did not do that because I wanted to see how long, actually the first try of all of these, I wanted to see how long each of them lasted. And this one lasted the longest, honestly. Like, it lasted like almost 2 weeks. I was like having to scrub it off because I was like, oh gosh, like I need to try other self-tanners, and this was only the second one I tried. It's really nice that it lasts that long, because if you're like going on a vacation, you didn't feel like self-tanning on the vacation, you can use this, and it doesn't come off in splotches or anything. It fades very nicely and very naturally. Also in the directions says that if you want the longest lasting or the darkest tan, you can reapply it. I did do it on like my legs one time that I tried it, and it did look very nice. I liked the way it looked, and it didn't look too unnatural. And even on that time, which is the second time I tried it, it lasted even longer than the first time, which was almost 2 weeks. So that shows you that this lasts a very long time. Another thing is because it does dry down quickly after you go and apply it the way you want to, like it does, you know, it's a bit harder to spread in terms of it, but it doesn't dry down too quickly. It does dry quickly enough to where you can wear like normal clothes. Like a lot of times when I self-tan, I wear like a bikini and stuff like that, but you know, I don't want to spend 6 hours in a bikini sometimes, and I need to go out and do some errands, but I want to self-tan. You can put on regular clothes about 30 minutes to an hour after you initially apply this, and it won't get messed up or anything like that. It's nice that you can just go out pretty soon after you've applied it. It's the cheapest. It's $23 with quite a bit of product, and I love that. It's pretty easily accessible. I bought this one in actually in Huntsville before we moved down here, and I found it there. I've also checked the Walgreens around me in Birmingham and Chelsea and stuff like that, and each of them have had this, so it's pretty easily to find. Bondi Sands is pretty much only at Walgreens from what I've found, but there are Walgreens everywhere, and I've seen it at every location I've been to. And it's a pretty large bottle. So those are the pros. For the best application, I would suggest that you use a tanning mitt. I'm pretty much just gonna say that on everything because I just think that it looks the most even. But this one did an okay job. Like, it actually looked fine with hands. It did look the best with a tanning mitt. I'm also referencing the sheet that I'm going to be putting in the description box for you so you can reference it if you would like. Next one I tried is the Saint Tropez Bronzing Mousse Tan Classic. So this is just the classic one. It's not like an ultra dark or anything like that. It is $42 for 8 ounces. So this does have the most of the self-tanners that I tried in ounces. However, $42 is almost twice the amount as the Bondi Sands, and it just barely has a little bit more. You know, the Bondi Sands one is 7.06 ounces and this one is 8. So some cons are that it smells really weird. I don't really know like how to describe it, but it's pretty nauseating. I have to be honest, like, it gives me a headache, which is kind of annoying, but like, you know, it's okay, I guess. It does dissipate after your shower. It's not like you're gonna smell like that for a while. I would say for some people who are really, really wanting like the big bronzy, like goddessy tan, this might be a little bit too natural. I actually like that about it because you can kind of customize it. It is a little bit like, it takes a lot longer for it to get as dark as like the Bondi Sands one did. I found that the Bondi Sands one got pretty dark at about the 4-hour mark, and then after that it just progressively got a little bit darker. This one takes a solid 8 hours to really get darkness that you want, so just be aware of that. And it's still on the more natural side, but it doesn't claim to be like ultra dark or anything like that. Another con is that it is one of the most expensive options at $42. You can get something of similar size and effect like the Bondi Sands ones for like almost half the price. The pros are that to me it's good in color, not too orange, pretty neutral, which I like. Saint Tropez is kind of known for that. I think Loving Tan pulls a little bit orange. I haven't personally tried it, but I've heard that from other people. And this one does not. It does easily blend to the skin. You do have a little bit more time with this one to kind of manipulate it in comparison to the Bondi Sands one that I was just talking about. You can immediately put clothes on after it. I would say at about the 2-hour mark is when I was comfortable putting on like, you know, my entire clothes, like shorts and a t-shirt and stuff like that. I still don't wear leggings like when I self-tan because that's just asking for it. It is a large bottle and it is pretty easily accessible. At every Ulta I've been to in Birmingham and Huntsville, they had this, so that's nice. The best application, I would use a tanning mitt. It looks okay with hands, but it's just not as even, and it's just easier to apply with a tanning mitt. Most of these are, just so you know. So the next one I tried is actually, like, I have a mini version, but it comes in a big size. And it is the Saint Tropez Self Tan Express Advanced Bronzing Mousse. I got this in a kit that came with like a little mini tanning mitt for $20, but the typical size, which is 6.7 ounces, is 44, so that's one of the higher ones. That's less product than you get in like the traditional Saint Tropez self-tanning mousse that I just talked about, as well as the Bondi Sands one, and I think that they charge a little bit more on Express, just so you know. I mean, that would kind of make sense because it's supposed to be quicker. The small one I have right here is 1.69 ounces, and once again, it was $20 to get with this in a little kit. Let me just tell you something. Express tanning foams kind of seem to be like crap to me. Like, I don't think that it does much, to be honest. I don't find it to be Express. I had this on for 3 hours and it did nothing. Like, I did not feel tanner. I ended up leaving it on for 6 hours, and at the 6-hour mark, this looked the same as the traditional Saint Tropez one did at the 6-hour mark. So I'm starting to believe that maybe this Express is more of like a placebo thing, like, oh, people believe it might be tanner, but I just did not think this looked much tanner at all. It says that to get the darkest, you use it for 3 hours. Once again, at 3 hours, it wasn't that dark, and it didn't make me look as tan as I was expecting. So I do think that if you are gonna use this, you might wanna just use it until the 6 hour mark. And I know that that's not Express, but I just don't think it does enough at the 3 hour mark. And I'm not really one who likes to look unnaturally tan. You can ask Melissa, she's seen me when I self-tan, and it looks pretty natural. So just keep that in mind. I'm not somebody who like puts like a buttload on. I put like an even amount, like depending on, like I put like 2 pumps here, and then I put like 3 pumps on my arm, like 4 pumps on my legs. Like the bigger the surface, the more I put. I don't put like 4 on all of them, because then I just don't think it looks as natural. I'm like babbling, oh my goodness. It's on the expensive side as well, and I just don't think that the Express, I just don't believe in the Express things. I just think that they're kind of like, it's kind of just like something that they say to get people to buy it and spend a little bit more money on the Express, but I just don't think that it makes you tan faster. You know what I'm saying? And it also smells weird, just like the original Saint Tropez one does. It smells just like that, and I can't for the life of me think of what it smells like. Kind of like baby powder with something else, but not in a good way. And the full size of this is actually smaller than the full size of this, which I wish I could show you, but I only have the mini size of this. And the full size of this is more expensive than the traditional one, so just keep that in mind. The pros are that the tone of this does look natural. It is not too orange. It easily blends into the skin. You have a little bit of time to work with it, but just keep in mind that that also can cause you not to be able to put on, you know, traditional clothes to go out or something like that right away. It's pretty easily accessible at pretty much any Ulta I've been to in Birmingham. I actually haven't looked at for it in Huntsville, so that's why I'm not including that. For the best application, I would say you definitely need to use a tanning mint. It doesn't look good with tans, and it easily gets into like your crevices and knuckle wrinkles on your hands and like in your elbows and knees and stuff. So definitely don't use your hands for this. This one was probably one of the worst in terms of how it looked with hand application. The last one we have to discuss is the Bondi Sands Aero Aerated Self-Tanning Foam 1 Hour Express. So I have just talked about how I don't think that Express means anything in self-tanning. This goes along with that, honestly. So it's not Express. It doesn't make me look tanner faster. I also didn't like the way this pump was. It's not really a pump. You see on the regular Bondi Sands and a lot of other tanning foams, these have a pump, and this one just kind of squirts out, and it makes it hard to control. I don't like that. It also needs to be left on for 6 hours to have the most effect, in my opinion. And I am pretty fair, so, you know, I can tell right away if something is tan enough or not, you know? I haven't found an Express self-tan that I like. This is the most quick drying one. It was like when I stuck it on my skin, like that was it. And I was like, oh my gosh, no, I need to like buff this in. Like the regular Bondi Sands one was a little bit hard to work with, but I could manipulate it. This one, like I was like, I mean, my legs were so red and my arms were so red because I was trying to rub it in to make it look even, but I couldn't even tell because it was so red after that. So I ended up like actually having to take this off, like remove it the first time because it just didn't look good, and then try it again. And when I tried it again, it did the same thing, and I you know, waited it out so I could see how long it lasted. It only lasted about 5 days, and it didn't come off splotchy, but it just didn't look great in the first place. So like, you know, if it doesn't look great in the first place, I really don't care how it wears off because it already looks bad. Some of the pros, there are some pros. It smells super good. It smells like the coconut, and it's not offensive. It doesn't smell really like self-tanner. It's got a good tone in terms of it's neutral and not orange. 4 out of 5 of these were neutral, more or like less orange, which is really good. It is on the cheaper side. It's $29 for 7.61 ounces. So it has a little bit more product in here than this one does. This one only has 7.04 ounces and this one has 7.61. However, it's a little bit more expensive and I like this one better. It's pretty easily accessible. You can find it at Walgreens. Every Walgreens location I've been to in Birmingham has had this. I think this one is a little bit newer than this one. So this one I hadn't seen before this year. For the best application for this one, you absolutely have to use the tanning mitt. It looks terrible with your hands, extremely streaky and splotchy. It's even harder to buff in with your hands than it is with a tanning mitt, which is already way too hard anyway. So just keep that in mind. Now that we've kind of done a rundown, let's talk about the rankings. And I'm sure you can kind of guess what they are based on my descriptions, but I'm gonna tell you anyway. So coming in first place is the Bondi Sands, the Ultra Dark, the Australian Tan Self-Tanning Foam. This is just my favorite. Honestly, I didn't really find anything that I hated about it. The one con was that it was a little bit harder to blend, but not impossible, and not like where I was beating myself up like on the other Bondi Sands one, where I was trying to buff it in and my skin turned red. This one I will definitely be reaching for over the other ones I have tried here. It smells nice, it looks nice, I can go out in public with it on and I don't look crazy. I absolutely love this, and I really don't have anything negative to say about it. Plus it's the cheapest. It's pretty much always in stock. I really like this one. So in second place we have the Saint Tropez Self Tan Classic. This one, I mean, there are definitely some more cons for sure, but it's a decent self tanner. You just have to keep it on for a little bit longer than this Bondi Sands one, which is, there are some obvious things as to why the Bondi Sands one beat this one and every other one. And this one, I like it, and I'll definitely be using it up. I don't really know if I'd repurchase it because it is a little bit more on the expensive side. I think I just have a love affair going with the original Bondi Sands Ultra Dark one. So yeah, but I do like this one, and luckily the smell does go away, does dissipate after you shower. In third place, we have the Saint Tropez 1 Hour Tan. You might be thinking, why is this in third place? You didn't like the Express. It's true, I don't believe really in the Express thing. I haven't had any like fancy luck using Express and like, you know, oh, it's so quick. No, it did not go quick. But in terms of the tone, I really liked it. It had a really nice tone. It does smell a little odd, but overall, it's a decent tanner, and I will use it up. I don't think I'd repurchase it. I mean, I probably would maybe travel with this if I did feel like applying self-tan on the go, or I would just use it up at home because it's a decent self-tanner, but I don't think I would repurchase it. But if you see it and you're like, oh, I want to try it out, give it a go. I would suggest trying a mini size first because there's plenty of product in here for you to actually try on your whole body quite a few times, and you don't have to like spend the big bucks on it, you know. Plus, if you get it in the pack, you get a free self-tanning mitt, which is nice. In fourth place, we have the Isle of Paradise Self-Tanning Butter. This one and the other Bondi Sands one that is an obvious last place, the Arrow one, it was hard to pick between which one needed to be in last, but this one overall had less cons than that one. It's an okay self-tanner. I mean, it might be decent for a beginner because it is more of a lotion and less of a foam, and you can kind of just casually put it on, but I would say you cannot sleep right after you wash this off because it will splotch, and you can't moisturize right after you take it off or even the next day, so you have to be careful. I think it's okay. It's on the cheaper side at $25, but it also has the least amount of product in terms of like the full sizes. Obviously this has the least amount of product, but in the full sizes this has the least amount of product. So I mean, I'm not going to repurchase it. I'd love to return it, but it's past the return date, so Obviously, like I said, what's in last place is this one. I am so sorry. I know a lot of people actually like this. I just don't. Michaela on TikTok tried it and she really liked it, but she didn't like another one of the Bondi Sands ones. So obviously self-tanner is personal preference. I'm just kind of telling you my experiences and just take them with a grain of salt. I'm just trying to help you, but you know what? Just if what I say is not the case with you, you know, just keep in mind that we're all different. This one I probably will take back. I'd like to get my $29 back because it just wasn't good. It was not good. I would not repurchase it. The only thing that was nice about it was the smell, and it has a nice tone, but the fact that you can't blend it easily makes, like, completely cancels it out for me, which is why it lost to the Isle of Paradise. It had so many cons in comparison to every other one on here, so that's why it ultimately was last place. Before I go, a couple of self-tanning, like, recommendations I have. Application, 100% think that you need to get a self-tanning mitt. I have two different ones. One I've purchased, which is this one. It's actually double-sided, and then this one is not double-sided, but it you can get it and it works just as well as this one. I do think that Saint-Tropez has really great tanning mitts. They don't shed like some other ones do. Mine are dirty, so I apologize for that. Some of them do, and these are only like $7, so I would invest in them because you can wash them quite a few times before you need to retire them and like replace them. So definitely apply self-tanning mitt. Another recommendation I have is if you are like me, I don't really like my self-tanner to come all the way up onto my fingers because I think that's unnatural and looks really weird and splotchy. I will get a beauty blender. This is actually dry right now and kind of dirty. Ew. I usually get some sort of beauty blender and I take like a little pump on it and I kind of just like blend it onto my wrists and kind of fade it into my hands so that way it looks natural, because when I tan, my hands, like if I were to tan naturally, my hands don't get super tan like the rest of like my body does. So I kind of like to go in with just like a beauty blender of some sort and just kind of blend it in and make sure it's damp, because it does make it easier to work with and it does tan it nicely to where you're like, oh, there's really no demarcation line. And that's another thing, like I don't self-tan my face because I'm sensitive to it, but if you wanted to self-tan your neck, you can kind of do it on your jawline like that as well, and it has a nice little like, you know, fading effect to where it fades nicely into your tan, if you know what I'm saying. One other recommendation I had, which I kind of referenced earlier, is you will see all of these like people taking like 5 pumps and putting it on their arms and 5 pumps and putting it on their legs and applying the same amount on each part of their body. But you have to keep in mind that if you want to go for a more natural looking tan, which is kind of what I go for, I like my body to look naturally tan. Like it can look quite a few shades darker, but if I'm going for the naturally tan look, it means that like it fades nicely. Like my chest does not tan like the rest of my body does naturally. So what I do is I take like 2 pumps, sometimes 3, it depends on like if it's an ultra dark or if it's just like a traditional self tanner. Like with a traditional self tanner, I'll take a little bit more, like I'll take 3 pumps and I'll rub it in really nicely, take it up the neck. And with like an ultra dark, I'll take like 1 to 2 pumps and rub it, because I like my tan to fade into itself. So like my arms will get like 3 to 4 pumps and my legs will get like 4 to 5 depending on what self tanner I use. And if it's ultra dark or just like, you know, a natural, more natural looking one where it doesn't tan nearly as dark as like an ultra dark one does. I feel like I said dark so many times there. But just keep in mind, you don't need to put like 10 pumps on each limb, or, you know, it's your own personal preference. So if you want to do that, I am not shaming that. I'm just telling you what I normally do. And what that is I kind of look at how big my arm is. Okay, well, I'm going to take half the amount that I put on my legs and put it on my arm or something like that. So that way it kind of all fades together and I don't get like super oddly dark in like some places. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? I feel like I covered everything. So this is going to be a fun video to edit because I coughed like 20 times, which you didn't see because I'll probably have edited that out by now. I am going to be working on like a sunscreen video here in the future. So, well, I'm working on it now, but you'll probably see it sometime soon in the future so I can help you protect your skin. But today was all about making you look bronzed without having to risk your skin health for that. So I hope that I was helpful. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and hit the notification bell down below. I upload makeup videos, lifestyle videos, self-tanning videos. I don't really know where that would fit. I guess lifestyle, kind of. But I upload a lot of different videos, so if you want to go check out my playlists, I have lots of different categories in there. But anyway, I hope you guys will subscribe to my channel if you're not already. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!